these chairs are uncomfortable, so I walk around.
Okay.
By the
That's
skin.
what I was getting ready to go do until I literally
You don't like our non-cushion chairs?
They're uncomfortable as hell.
Come on, Seamus.
Look at it. Once everyone's seated, we'll get ready for questions for Coach.
Obviously, I'm sure Martinelli's probably 1, 2, 3 on your scouting report for Northwestern, but I guess what is the challenge he presents, but then also what else do you have to account for with Northwestern?
Yeah, Martinelli's the most unique player in our league with a variety of ways that he can score the ball, and he's shooting a really high percentage from three right now, and his ISOs, they just give you anxiety with all the different things that he can do. He can't ever go down with your hands down, and if he makes contested tough shots, then you can't get deflated. You just have to do the best job you can. He's the leading scorer in the country right now, and just what he's done over the course of his career, you got to give him a lot of credit. You got to give their staff a lot of credit for developing him into the type of player that he is. He's truly special. And, you look at this Northwestern team, and, we showed this to our guys in film this morning. They've had leads in every game. Last night was a 2-possession game late against Illinois, and they've had leads on the road at Michigan State, which we all know is extremely hard to do. And, this is a team that has a lot of heart. And we know that we have to be on point, or the same thing that happened a year ago is going to happen again when we get down 20 points. And we had to scramble and fight and claw and found a way to steal one. But we can't rely on that. You can't go and give a team on their home floor a big lead and an advantage like that. We have to continue with the mindset of where we've been on the road so far this season in league and get off to a great start. That is the reason that we've had success to this point, and Northwestern has had a way of jumping on us early, and we got to be ready. We got to be ready from the jump.
You're forcing more turnovers this season than any other point in your tenure here. What would you attribute that to? I
think our guys, they've been really disciplined in their approach with game plan, scout discipline, and they haven't jumped off the map. And that, that's a credit to Nate and the game plan that he's putting together on the defensive end. And it's a credit to our guys for going out there and following it pretty much every possession. And I think that's the reason we've really, really stressed not only contesting shots, but contesting passes. And we've done a good job of getting deflections. And, we were really efficient. When we got out in transition the other day, which we played a lot in transition, and a lot of it was because of our hands and creating turnovers, we're a really efficient offensive team. And when we take it out of the net, we're not. And nobody is. Nobody in college basketball has better efficiency when they're taking the ball out of bounds on every possession. So the more we can create havoc and turnovers, the better our numbers are going to be on the offensive end. So, again, I give our guys credit. I give our staff credit for putting in the right game plan and for our guys going out and following it.
Sam specifically, he has been known for creating turnovers his entire career, but he had a career night the other day. Just what has he specifically done?
Yeah, he's just one of those, I don't know, he's my kid. I have a hard time calling my kid a pest, but, he just has a way of getting underneath guys, and, you talk about saving the day, if you're a little bit out of position, or he has the ability to go get the ball, and, there's numerous players across our league, across the country that can do that. But Sam does a really good job of swiping down and getting the ball before it gets above his shoulders, because he can't just with his size. So he's done just a remarkable job. And last game against Oregon, I think, was the perfect example of, getting in there, slapping down without fouling. That's an important part of it as well. But he's got a knack for that. Kale has a knack for that. And when you go back and look at it, those are our two top deflection guys. And, Sam has, 5 steals at halftime and gets one on the first possession of the second half, which led to a 3 for Price. And then we get a layup on the next possession. Now it's 17. They call a timeout. We were off and running. And, that a lot of that has to do just with his ability to read situations. He got in the passing lane on one of them as well. But, we've got a team full, I think, of smart defenders. If you look individually, you go up and play one-on-one against a lot of the teams, we're probably not going to win a lot of those battles. But we've got a really good team system in place. And, again, I credit Nate for a lot of our defensive success so far.
With those turnovers, Northwestern's as good as any team in the country in protecting the ball. I guess how do you walk that line between trying to be aggressive and create that offense without kind of going over?
Yeah. It's a great question, right? You can't jump off the map. That's the biggest thing. You can't go out and try to force it. And now you're out of position, and we have it. If we have one guy out of position, our defense is in a really bad spot. If we allow middle penetrations, which we allowed 3 of those in the first 5 minutes against Oregon, they scored on 2 of them. We got lucky on the other one. So we just have to stay, again, we have a very disciplined approach on the defensive end. And for the most part, our guys all year have followed that.
To that point, Northwestern discipline on defense. Northwestern likes longer possessions. You're gonna have to play defense for a lot.
Yeah, and again, you can't go out and try to get it all back. I thought we did a good job, and go back and watching that game from a year ago. We did a good job of just finding a way to take it one possession at a time when we got going, and then that led to some good possessions. We made a couple shots. We didn't shoot it very well early. Northwestern had a lot to do with that, but we found a way, and that's what this team has shown. You look at how we flipped it at Indiana, being down 9 on the road, or what, we were down 16, I guess, and then getting up 9, so you have a 25-point swing in a half, and we're capable of doing that. But again, that's been done because of discipline, not because of havoc, not because of chaos. And we have to continue on with that if we want to stay where we are right now.
Right. You've won games in the 90s, you've won games in the 50s. How is this team able to adjust the way that it plays and adjust to the cadence of each individual game?
Yeah, and obviously a lot of it's the opponent. In Michigan State, you're going to have a rock fight type game, and if you don't match their physicality, you see what they're capable of doing. You see what they're doing right now with playing a really talented Indiana team, and just the way they ran away with it on their home floor. So you just got to be able to match physicality. That's the thing that I'm most pleased in the game against Oregon. We're giving up size, inches, athleticism at every spot, but we didn't give up an offensive rebound in the first half. We didn't give up a transition point the entire game. When you do that, when you force a team into a half court, you're going to have success. A team may get hot on you some night, and you can't do anything about that, but if you force them and take away easy baskets the way we did, and not give them extra shots, not give them extra opportunity with turnovers, with offensive rebounds, that's what's going to give you the best chance to win. And that's what I was most pleased with. We had our best blockout percentage. Our running habits were on point on the offensive end, and it was just a really complete game. Now we got to get over it. And, we didn't have great urgency in practice today, and we jumped them and got on them and got them refocused. That's, again, the reason we've had success is because of the way we've started in league play.
Going back to Martinelli, when you're facing a team with one dominant player, how much do you weigh as a coach taking him away versus letting him have his and taking everyone else?
Yeah, and listen, they've shown they've got a lot of talent with how they've played the top teams in this league, and I've had a couple of really bad breaks, or they'd have a chance to have either an undefeated season in league, or without question a winning record in league. So this is, again, a talented team that's got a lot of pride. They've got a lot of heart. They're smart. They're well coached. They're disciplined, and they're going to win games in this league. So you just got to go out and continue to follow the game plan that we've put in. And we may have to adjust, and we have adjusted, whether it's at a timeout or at halftime, and then you got to go out and execute it.
Have you seen Kale playing with more confidence, particularly offensively?
Yeah, I told Kale 2 games ago he was struggling with his percentage, and I just said, listen, here's how it is. We're at the halfway point. I had years where I shot the ball horribly for a stretch. I said, you got a whole new life here. We got to look at it this way. You're 0 for 0 right now. You're not whatever it was, 4 for whatever. And, I just said, free your mind, trust it. You put a lot of work, you put a lot of time in it. And then he goes out and makes this next one. And then in the last game, he had a good look, open one. And I thought his rhythm was really on point. So, I think, 66% since we had that conversation. Not that that's the reason why, but sometimes you just got to flip the switch a little bit. You're past it. You got this fresh start now. And, when you're out there grinding and you're like, oh my God, if I miss this one now, I'm going to go down into the, below 15% or below 10%. You just can't have that mentality. And it's good to see Kale. He does so many things for our team, but it's been good to see him knock down some shots.
With Kale, have you seen him play with a different attitude the last couple of games?
Oh, he's always played that way. He's the nicest kid in the world. I mean, you guys know him. There's not a nicer, better human being than Kale Jacobson, but he plays with that edge. And, we talked about it when we played at Indiana. You have to play with an edge in those games. That's what Enright, that's what makes him special, is he just finds a way to get under your skin. And we told him, we said, if you allow him to get under your skin, then he's won. And, I thought we did a good job of going on the road and staying poised. And that's case in point on what we did to be able to flip that. And that Kale has a little bit of that. Sam has a little bit of that. BK, you see how he's pumping up the crowd after a big offensive rebound where he got fouled. So, again, I like that, the passion and the edge and the swagger that our guys are playing with, but we got to keep it up. Whatever happens in these coming games, and they're coming fast. They're coming fast and furious. The turnaround time in these games, it feels faster than it ever has. So we just, mental reps. I want them fresh, mentally, physically in the games. So, when we need to beat them up a little bit, we're doing it, but we're shorter. We're shorter practices because I'm a firm believer, in having fresh legs when you're out there on the court.
What makes Northwestern such a tough place to play? Is it more Coach Collins finding little wrinkles, or? Yeah,
Chris. Chris is an unbelievable basketball coach, and he's done unbelievable things in that program. He's taken that program to heights that it's never seen, and he always has a good game plan on both ends of the floor. They run great stuff. They got the best scorer in the country, so they just they do a great job of that program top to bottom. And that team had never, I think, been to the tournament, and they go to the Sweet 16 and have been to 3 tournaments under Chris. So he's done an unbelievable job and continues to do so.
What are your thoughts on the new transfer portal dates?
Yeah, I like it. I think it's smart that we don't have to do what we did a year ago, and we signed 4 players or got commitments from 4 players, and we were still playing in the postseason. So I like the change in the rule that you at least get a wait. Now we'll know. I think teams like football, they'll announce that they're going to be in the portal, but I do like that they officially can't go in until after the championship.
You talked about keeping players fresh. Jamarcus has been vocal about having a sprained ankle, and there was a play with 5 minutes in the first half where he went coast to coast taking a made basket, and Altman was very mad about that. So he's looking relatively fresh. How's he feeling?
Yeah, he's fine. Yeah, he's doing great. And not only that play, but the same, and Braden did a great job getting the ball in quickly. We got a 3 to Price on that as well. Those are killers for a coach. They piss you off beyond belief when they score a basket and you don't get back and your defense doesn't get organized. And Jamarcus, we had 2 of those the other day where Jamarcus just got it, dribbled down the floor, got Price a 3, and then got the coast to coast layup. Those are very important. Especially we were struggling a little bit offensively early, and those can take the lid off.
A lot of people locally and nationally say you've done more with less than anybody in the country this year. How much of that do you think is your players being selfless and willing to accept their roles, and your staff not, willing to, play to their strengths as well? Yeah,
listen, our guys they deserve all the credit. All the behind the scenes work. Michael Banya, we call him Kenny because of Seinfeld, and but that can be a meme now. With our GAs, all the work that they put in with our guys. We have hours, and on off days we can't be in the gym with our guys. They do an unbelievable job. Our managers. Our strength coach, I've talked a lot about Kurt, our sports science, our trainer Andrew, just everybody that's part of this program plays a huge role in it. And I would say this, all the things that we've tried to do to build the culture, we have culture meetings once a week, those guys have really bought into that. Sometimes you just walk in the room and you sit in there and you listen to the message and okay, I check the box. But these guys really apply that to their daily lives. And I've talked a lot about the lack of distractions that we've had with this group and being on time and going to class and 3 straight semesters of getting over a 3.2 GPA. Those are huge things that Alyssa, our academic advisor, she's phenomenal. Nutrition, Jake, everything we've got going, everybody's in synergy in our staff, and that's important. We're not creating mixed messages where you're hearing one thing from this coach and another thing from the strength coach. Everybody's in line with what we're trying to teach and what we're preaching, and you give the guys credit for the way that they come in and they approach it. Their daily lives, we're back in a routine now. The break sometimes get a little bit loose. Now we're back to the early practices. So what's that mean? You got to get rest. You got to put the right things in your body. We make sure that they're checking in when they go to the training table. So, it's just everything you try to do to build up a culture. But at the end of the day, your players have to buy into that. And this has been a really fun group that has done that. And again, you talk about do your pieces fit. I think we put together, and again, I give our coaches credit. I give Luca a lot of credit for helping put this team together that that goes out there and plays the right way. And I think that's why it's been a fun team for us, certainly to coach, but for an easy group to root for, just because of how they play. I've gotten a lot of messages from former players just saying how much they've enjoyed watching us, and a lot of it's because they're diving on the floor and the passing and taking care of the ball and physicality. So it's been fun to see messages from your alumni and your former players. That's an important part of it. And at the end of the day, that's what it's all about.
Martinelli's obviously a key for them, but Jaden Reed coming off the bench, 28 last night, was career high for him. He can get to his spots in the mid-range game. How important is that to maybe slow him down?
Yeah. Reed was unbelievable last night in playing against a really physical team in Illinois. But yeah, he's a jet. He can get down the floor quickly. He's really good in pick and roll. He shot the ball with a ton of confidence. He's playing with a lot of swagger right now. And again, you just got to try to slow him down and not give him easy baskets.
What's the deep dish pizza of choice while in Chicago?
I'm a Malnati's guy. My kids like Giordano's better, but I was always a Malnati's guy.
You guys healthy?
Yes, everybody's doing good. Oogie will not dress in this game.
Mr. Coach?
Thank you.